turn on your notification bell, you will still get those information you are looking for.
Albert court judgment. We won't release Nnamdi Kanu. That's what the Nigerian government is saying now. They said even though they have acknowledged the discharging and acquittal, talking about that they've believed now that Nnamdi Kanu has been discharged and acquitted. Initially they said he was only discharged, not acquitted. But now they said yes, even if he has been discharged and acquitted, we will not release him because he poses a threat to national security. And that's what the lawyer is arguing, talking about David Caswell. So he said that it is important to appreciate the gamut of the positions in their application. He said the respondent is a flight risk person, and one of the grounds of our application is that this matter touches on national security of the state. You see, so that's according to him. He went further to say that they rely on the case of federal government versus Dokoba, where the Supreme Court held that where national security is threatened, or when there is likelihood of it being threatened, human rights take secondary place. He said once there is a threat to national security, human rights of any individual can be suspended until such threat is taken care of. He said once security of the nation is in jeopardy, the individual right may not even exist. He went on to say that the defendant has shown that he has the capacity to jump bail or to escape from lawful custody. According to him, there is reasonable intelligence that the enforcement of judgment of this court pending determination of their appeal at the Supreme Court may impact negatively on the declining security in the Southeast. He said no court can close its eyes on activities happening around it. According to him, the entire social media is awash with threats to security in the country. He said the federal government believes that there is an exceptional circumstance to warrant this court to grant their application. They urged the court to resolve the sole issue they raised and found the application meritorious in the interest of justice and unity of the country. So that's the submission of the federal government through the Attorney General's counsel, David Caswell. Now responding, Michael Zuckerman he argued that Kanu's release from detention would guarantee peace in both the Southeast and the country at large. He said, "My lords, on the contrary to the release of Kanu, the release of Kanu will actually bring peace and tranquility to the Southeast in particular and the nation in general. This, according to him, was demonstrated after the judgment of this court that ordered the release of the respondent. Immediately the judgment was delivered, and there was so much joy and happiness in the entire Southeast. There was much jubilation and merriment." That's what Ozekome have said. So Ozekome is arguing this point that look, in the Southeast region, there is celebration, or there was celebration, heralding the release, the judgment of the appeal court, stating that Onyendu has been discharged and acquitted. He said only this one will point to the fact that the federal government's argument of Onyendu's release will exacerbate the security situation in the Southeast has no bearing. It's neither here nor there. Because as we have said, we ask if the national security is the topmost, and now you said that somebody's rights, fundamental human rights, comes secondary, so this national security comes first. Now, how do we know when national security is threatened? Are you the one to come and tell us fictitious things about national security? There is something on ground. Nigerians are feeling whatever is happening around them. The court is feeling whatever is happening around it. The court knows the truth. The court is not living in the moon and where they are adjudicating for people on earth. No, they are living in Nigeria. They are Nigerians. Those lawyers are Nigerians. If he imposes national security, they will know. If Nnamdi Kanu is a national security threat, they will know. All right. So, like Ozekome have argued rightly, the celebration that greeted this, the release of Onyendu, the court judgment of Onyendu, releasing Onyendu, declaring that Onyendu should be released, is enough evidence. It's an avalanche of, evidence to prove to the world that government is lying. They just want to continue to, hinder and obstruct the process of justice. or the cause of justice in Nigeria, because an Igbo man is affected, because Nnamdi Kanu is affected. It's not only Nnamdi Kanu. He's suffering because he came from a particular region, not because his name is Nnamdi or Kanu, no, because he's an Igbo man. Yes, that's the burden of the Igbo in this country, Nigeria. All right. So you have seen it, the international community, you have seen it. Everywhere many Nigerians have been calling on the government of Nigeria to release Onyendu. What they have been saying is this, that it will bring it will enhance security in the southeast, it will bring peace and douse tension. Particularly traditional rulers, religious leaders, senators, House of Rep members, and opinion molders from the southeast, they have argued that look, the release of this man called Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of IPOB in the southeast, will douse tensions. And so we begin to wonder where federal government is getting their argument of insecurity, that it will bring insecurity. Already we have insecurity, and people have argued, we have said it, that's what I'm saying now, that they have argued that it is his release that will bring peace, the needed peace. So government is embarrassing themselves. These people we are talking about, international community, they're not fools. They're human beings. They have brains. They have the intelligence capacity. They reason even more than this federal government. They have reason more than this federal government. They have intellectual capacity more than the federal government of Nigeria. We're talking about international community. How do you compare Nigeria with the international community? Their brain. So they are dancing naked. The international community is aware that they are dancing naked. They are embarrassing themselves before the Committee of Nations and the world. And that is it. So they can continue and dance naked. But when the court judgment came, they were surprised. So even if they say they will keep him in detention facility, against the directive of the court, it will only end someday. And when it will end, they won't know. And that will be as soon as possible. I tell you, this man, Nnamdi Kanu, will be released as soon as possible. And when it will come, they won't know. And so we use this medium to call on United Nations, to call on AU, to prevail, even ECOWAS, to prevail on this government, to do the needful, to obey the law of the land. They are the constitution of these laws. If they continue to flout the directive of the court, what do they expect? Anarchy. And when anarchy is loosed upon the country, they should not blame anybody. That is what we are saying. Not that you start pointing an accusing finger on people, whereas you are the one who created the room for anarchy. That's the point we are making now. On this, we will not release him. I bet court judgment, we will not release him. Yes, we will not release him. But remember, anarchy. It will cause anarchy. It will cause chaos. Okay? So when it comes, don't blame anybody, because what they are doing amounts to short route to anarchy and open call to chaos and